Okay, I'm going to share this stream to my page, and we'll start. I'm just gonna see if we're live. I don't need that. Copy that. And I need to stick that into there. There we go. Just making sure, guys, that we're on your thing for that. Make sure we're live. We are on here. Yes, we are. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello, all. I'm just gonna get rid of this out my way first, so I can just give you an overview of this. This is my keyboard. So, evening, guys. Welcome back to YouTube. Welcome. It's nice to be back. I've had a lovely few days off. Well, say a few days off, but a couple of days to work. But I've been busy. And as you know, guys, I have just been having an amazing week. So I thought I'd come on YouTube tonight, since you guys don't get to see me a lot on YouTube a lot. And I thought, well, you know what, we might as well do a couple of live streams for nice weekends. I'll obviously be updating everybody tomorrow on the page when we do it. Yes, I have my beer tonight. I only have one beer tonight. I already have had one, but I've only got one beer. So this is going to be my calming moment, I suppose. I'm not actually live streaming on my computer because my computer obviously has a problem when it tries to go live on the computer. OBS has a weird problem trying to get the frame rate sorted out, and my computer sucks arse. So this stream may go a little bit out of sync because my computer is totally just junk at the moment. Which is obviously, it's a business computer, but it's obviously you've got to make sure we're going to maintain the right things and everything else. But anyway, you don't want to hear about that. So I thought I had my things. I don't. Got the chat open tonight, guys, so you guys can chat to me. If you want to chat, you can. We obviously was going to watch a video tonight on YouTube, but I thought I will come on here, so why not? So last week I was telling you about the music side of what was going on with my life and what was happening with my dad and everything, and I think everybody will actually like that video. Well, I'm not going to get some tonight though. I'm not going to get some tonight. Yeah, I thought what I'd do tonight is I'd talk about my early childhood and what I was into way before I got into the music side of it as well, and having a chance to tell you about personal things in my life I went through. Not sort of like other stuff, but you know, like you know, like my dad and everything else. But no. So this is just a regular stream tonight, guys. So I just want to have a chat and then just come on here and talk about my usual stuff. You can talk about Queen if you want to as well. I don't mind, because I know about the Queen situation at the moment. It's going tits up, to be honest. So the whole Queen situation is a little bit thinking about it tonight. But anyway, no, it's been a while, guys. We haven't had a chance to do something else before. So, but yeah, it was a hard week last week for me, which is very hard for me to go through 2 months of just grief and everything going on. And I've got more projects coming up this year. I've got another album coming out with one of my new songs called Cat Jane from Hungerford, who I'm hopefully going to see soon. Don't know when, but soon. And I've also got other things going on as well, which is just amazing. But I've got one more project coming up this year, and I've had been listening actually back to some of the productions I've already done this year, which is obviously with Wayne Russo and Idesha and everybody else, and the year's been just amazing, phenomenal. And I'm starting back next Monday with Idesha to start work on her next project, which is her Halloween project. So it's looking really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to a couple of things. So see a couple of trailers on the page, guys, and everything else. But yeah, I want to. If we get our regulars on tonight, I'll talk about Jeff. I'll talk about other stuff going on. Probably more Frontiers stuff as well. As you had last week, it was just was a shambles. Some stuff is okay, but you know what I mean. It goes too far. So yeah. I thought I'd just come on and talk about my early days of. Well, you've seen the documentary that I brought out. Obviously, I went into music side of stuff. I didn't go a lot of like my own thing. In my early childhood years, I was a huge fan of the ZX Spectrum computer, and every weekend after school, I would go straight upstairs. I had records on all the time, and then I would put my games on, and at the time, the ZX Spectrum was an amazing computer. It was a really good computer actually, and the games that you would have got were at the time before it came out were first of all Sinclair Spectrum, the main Sinclair, the old Sinclair Spectrum games, the original tapes that I had. They were all of the like the pre-release stuff prior to when it came out. So it was like a starter pack when you had all the games, and there was a one of the games that was very popular at the time was Old Mummy. Old Mummy was the popular game of the time, and it was one of the best games that was ever written in code. The coding was so amazing. It was a really good game, and that sold loads and loads of copies, and everybody wanted that game. It was so amazing. It was actually the quickest loading game to load because it didn't take so long. So it was really a good game. And then the next game I had was this ski game. It was a ski game I had. I think it was Horoscope Skiing. I think that's what it was. And it was re-released as it was a popular game also, that one. And it was all right. It wasn't the best game I would like. I don't think it's one of the best games I ever enjoyed. It was just boring. It was just sort of like skiing around on this sledge and everything, and skis and everything. I was like, no, this game's not for me. But my sisters loved it though. And then after that, a few years down the line, I used to get in. My dad got me into the magazines of the Spectrum magazines, Your Sinclair and Sinclair User, two of the very popular magazines at the time. And I was collecting them at a time when I got into them a lot because 1986 was when Sinclair Spectrum had just been re-released, had been reproduced in the new ones with tapes and demos and everything. You get recorded demos of them all. And one of the games that I really enjoyed in there was the big demo of Batman, which was the Spectrum version of it, and it was really, really good. And I was so eager to get that game. Actually, I was so desperate to get it, but it was very expensive at the time, and it was about £20. I think it was for the game itself, and it was expensive at the time. It was, but now today's money, it's like ridiculous money. But and then there was and I had a lot more demos on all the cassettes I used to get, and then I used to get into the in all the games that I did absolutely love so much. I loved like the games like Yogi Bear and probably the biggest software company at the time was Ocean Software. Was one of the best companies that actually ever did release their games. It was amazing. And at the time there was another computer company who made budget games, but the company who made them were releasing stuff the first time round. It was the cheapest ever thing, and it was Firebird, and then there was I think it was a company called All Sorts Acoustic Solutions Software, and they were building a lot of games at the time, and the games were amazing. They were really good. And Yogi Bear was one I got, and it failed because my computer crashed all the time. And it got to a stage where you're playing it, right? You're playing Yogi Bear, the main game, but when he loaded it, the game worked absolutely fine. But when it restarted it, when he died, it would go into this frenzy mode. It would just go like, it would just crap out a lot, and then you would have to reset the game. Back in the days, you would have to manually reset it. It's not like automatic resets we used to get now. You had to manually reset the game, load it back in again, and it would still crash. And I don't know whether mine had a problem with it, but it seemed, I think the memory was a little bit outdated. But some of the games that I absolutely loved so much were really amazing. They were really amazing, and they were cool. And that's all I ever used to do. What was going on with ZX Spectrum, and I used to learn how to program in the certain free program games as well. I think in the manual, the ZX Spectrum manual that I had originally, but the size, and it gave you all of the programs that you could load in automatically, and it would load, and you have to save it to tape, and then you would have to load it back into the program itself. And it was a really good time for me learning that. And my dad used to come upstairs and used to read out the book. He read it from top to bottom. He said, "Dad, read this out to me." And he would sit on the bed. He would go to sleep all the time because he was always sleeping a lot. So we would have a page worth of things to run, obviously read out, and then it would be the time that we spent together in the place we lived in. We lived in Washington at the time, way before we moved to the new area, and there was so many memories in that room. I was so like, wow, it was just like, that is just so amazing. It was tiny though. It was a tiny room. It was not as big as this room now. But growing up, I mean, my whole years doing was music a lot. I was always into music a lot. I really was, and recently I've just been producing some songs for music artists and everything, and having a label I can finally run, which is just really amazing as well from home, which is just a great job of love. And you started it properly, you do it properly, you groundwork it properly, and you do it right. Not like some of these idiots that go around and say because what gets me is like when you see when you see things on, that's what you just got their live stream now. When you see like adverts on Facebook, they always think they're clever, and they're doing it wrong. You don't advertise. You don't advertising on every social media is ridiculous. I mean, I only advertise once a month because I don't do it every week. That sometimes Facebook can get out of hand because if you're advertising and you're going to get your music out there, you do it properly. You don't just advertise for someone who was to be a singer, because that's wrong. And it should be done properly when you do your groundwork properly, and you know exactly what you're doing at the time. And that's what was getting on my nerves the recent few weeks ago when somebody was, I think it was Northeast Bands and Musicians or some of the pages I was on. Somebody was trying to persistently, and in fact, I'm glad he removed the post now because the post has gone. In fact, he was blocked on YouTube, on Facebook actually. It was a guy who was very persistently wanting to try. He was advertising it like 5 times a day, in the week, and it was nuts. And I just this idiot is doing it wrong. He's not even thinking about it properly. Nobody contacted him. Nobody even got in touch with him, and he was constantly pestering pestering people on every single thing to try and get himself thinking that I'm because he was going for a mental crisis. Now I don't know who the guy was, obviously, but obviously I knew for a fact that his posters was removed. So admins removed it, and it was just, it was it's like a touch and go kind of thing for him. So if you do your advertisement, do it properly. Don't do it just don't do it silly. Groundwork it first. Do it properly and get it there, and you know exactly what you're doing. But yeah, my whole week's been pretty good. I really haven't had a lot of time to go out, to be honest, this week. I've just been in. Been trying to get something sorted out with the council. Nightmare. Trying to sort something out with the council is a joke indeed. You would think, right? You would think you would get the council to sort out what you can do. I was telling you this last week about my dad, and the way that left the place in a mess, and it was shoddy, and it was just awful. And you know what? And I just still think the council's ridiculous doing that. So my follow-up to that, I was waiting for a callback from the council, and they were due to ring me back in like a week and a half ago. Well, it's been like now over 4 weeks now. 4 weeks now. And I was hoping to hear something back from the post this week. I've been waiting all week for the post to arrive, and nothing's come back. So then I was concerned, and I went, you're supposed to send me a letter through for the next part of what was due to do and everything else. So they said, oh, it takes up to 6 weeks to come through. I went, what? So that's council so stupid. So I've got to wait another 2 weeks now. And it's like, it's just annoying. It's annoying. And we had no water yesterday. The water system was broken down here in the corner of the thing. There was a huge big leak happened down the road here, and the cylinder. I saw it yesterday. I was walking with Devon. The cylinder was all smashed. It was about this big, not wide, huge thing, massive hole inside it. So I was just wondering, well, what's this problem we're having with it? And you should have seen that it was a nightmare around here. It was awful. We had the worst weather. We had the worst weather yesterday, which was terrible. And tonight it's actually clear tonight, which is good. But we had horrible weather yesterday, and it was just really, really bad. And it was, it wasn't good yesterday. So yeah. So if you guys want to ask any questions or anything, just chat and talk to me. I'll be here for about an hour. I won't be staying on very long because my phone gets messages sometimes, and this is why it interferes my broadcast. So anyway, I really want to watch that trilogy media thing. I didn't see it, but yeah. Anyway, so this week, we're writing a couple of songs this week for a new person who my new artist who I recently just got. It was so fantastic. The interview was absolutely brilliant. Was waiting to work with her on Thursday. All this week she's been it's been an absolute headstone happening with her. So she's finally got sorted out now, and hopefully very soon we'll have something made. Hopefully something done. Just trying to get the time when she's available at a certain time. Whatever it is, I mean. So I'm gonna talk about tonight what I was going to talk about last week. I talked about Frontiers Records last week, and I talked about Jeff Scott Sutler last week. Still amazing dude. Still doing okay. And so I was this is really, really weird. So about a few years ago, I remember doing my vinyl collection. And people have got back in touch with me about some of the releases for what I have. And I'll follow it up actually, because there was an overdue follow up here. I've actually got them here on my things. There's a lot of them going to be bring out at the time. So I thought what I'd do tonight is I talk about my early life. Talk about some sort of records I have under here, actually, not in any order at all, just sort of very random ones I've picked out and just looked at as well, which is that. Maybe it is as well. So about a few months ago, years ago, well, I wasn't able to do YouTube, not nice. I went through my traveling single record collection. Obviously, these are the records I love so much, which is really amazing. And I'm going to start with this one, which is the Airy Fashion Saved Myself. Now, I do have the. Do I have the reissue of this in there? I think I have. It's probably buried somewhere underneath here. Probably. Is it here? Or is it not here? I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not here. It's buried in the back pile somewhere. Anyway, so yeah, this is this amazing record by Airy Fashion. Is the American press of it. I do have the original UK press of it, but I can't find it anywhere, so it'd be somewhere in the pile. So I remember reviewing this one on my channel quite a while back. A really weird story about this version of it, actually. This is the US version from the Critique record label, started by Ahmed Ertegun's Atlantic record label, which is here. Yep. This is out in 1987. This is actually the reproduced version, not the original. Well, it is the original, but it's not. Technically, it's not. It's actually the reproduced version, which is being for the American market. Now, what happened? What happened on this one? Is Ian? Well, let's start a while back. Right, 1986, original 1986 version came out on the Power label, run by Vincent DiGiorgio, great producer and great remixer and great arranger. Worked with so many artists at the time, and worked on some good songs. He's on studio in Toronto, in Canada, and very good friends with Ian Levine, who did this one. But that's not where this lies into this one. So, first of all, Save Myself was written by David Lodge, who was a Canadian writer, and was written specifically for Airy Fashion to sing. And on 1986, it was recorded at El Torno Studios in Canada, with Vincent DiGiorgio producing the original version of it, and the B-side had the original instrumental version of it. When I say that, they did a bit of a boo-boo on that one, actually, which is a bit of a strange thing. What later, in 1987, since the original did not really hit very all over the States and didn't hit anywhere at all because it flopped, he went back in and he went in and reproduced it again to remix it as the Blaster Mix 2. And that was the first Blaster Mix that was issued in Canada first. Then it was, after it was released in Canada, it then got released in the UK on Saturday Records, which Ian Levine had just started the label up with Stephen Wagner, and them two guys worked out really well, and that was his own label. And he bought the license from Canada, which was absolutely free of charge to have. Bought a license over from Canada, produced it at Downbound Studios, and then by the weird coincidence, when Vincent did his first mix of it, Ian Levine wanted to remix it for the UK market, and then I think if I can remember rightly, I think that Ian Levine and Robin Sellers went into they did it at Lily Yard Studios, which was owned originally by Hans Zimmer, popular guy for the American TV shows. And so basically, Ian Levine asked Vincent if he could do a remix for the UK, and he did, and it went very well. And the remix was pretty long, but it was worth it for the UK market at the time, you know. So apparently he got the two versions of the song from the multi-tracks he was allowed to have. He had to get them from Canada, from Vincent, send it straight over to the UK, and they would be able to multi-track and mix the various versions of it. So taking from the original first mix and then taking it from the second mix, you can tell identically that the vocals were all the way it was done. It was very clever. So when it was delivered back to when it was released originally on Saturday, delivered back to Vincent, he said, "This remix is really good." So why didn't we do that? But he wasn't happy. But Ian wasn't very happy with when it came out in the UK. He thought it was going to make a lot of money for what it was worth, and it really didn't. It didn't do a lot of. It did well in the dance disco markets, but it didn't really do well on radio. It didn't get any radio play at all. Where there was a station in Sunderland that was called Weir FM, and they used to do a disco high energy night, and it was a brilliant show. It was live and it was amazing, but the single didn't get anywhere in the UK. Now until, and this is where the twist comes in now. Now there was a guy in the head of Atlantic Records in Rockefeller Center, where the old Rockefeller Center was, and Phil Carlson, who was the head of A&R at the time at Atlantic Records, and ATCO, because ATCO was still going. He started a label up called Critique. Now, Critique was just a basic offshoot of Cotillion Records, because Cotillion Records had died at the time, and that's why it says Atlantic Records, custom labels, and everything else is what it is. And Critique, this label, was only basically the very first time that they were going to be starting to import the track onto this. That's okay. And this is where the twist comes into this now. So this pressing is a US pressing, but there's a problem with this pressing, right? And I think they've done a massive thing with this. No wonder that Atlantic Records got this removed straight away. I think this is why this was ditched. There's a lot of problems on this one. There's a lot of mistakes on this. There's a lot of this is pretty misleading, this part. So we've got the said for myself, we've got the vocal extended dance remix, which is technically the Saturday remix, which is called the Hotline mix. Apparently it was in the UK. They weren't able to use the Hotline name because it was under a different idea for the market. Bit weird. And then you've got the vocal edit, which is the original album version of it from the album that came out. And they were them two are fine. The only thing is that, well, I'll get to that master in a minute. Second thing is the original Blaster mix. This is the reproduced mix. This was the Blaster mix that was originally also on the UK version and the reissue of Loading Bear Records as well, which I'll come to later. But this is the problem. Now, I thought that this was going to be the original demo, and by coincidence, it isn't. It's actually the original B-side of the original Save Myself 12-inch single, not the reproduced one. So this instrumental is not on the version they pressed in Canada, because it was only pressed on this one. So this is where the confusion starts. seconds. That's fine. Yeah. So this mix is actually not bad. It's all right, but the only problem this is where the problem arose. When this was pressed in Sterling Sound, George Marino had no involvement with this at all. Nothing to do with this at all. He was in some other country at the time, and he thought that it was going to be done by another guy. But Ted Jensen was hired. Another associate of his was hired. Ted Jensen came in, and he absolutely trashed this to hell. This mix is dreadful. The compression on this, whatever they've used the compression on this single, this should never have been issued. This is why I think they didn't do very well at all. So anyway, so it was mastered very, very high quality, but very terrible. A lot of tape hiss on this, but you can hear it from the mastering when it was done that time. When you hear it from the compression side, the compression on this is absolutely dreadful. It's just awful sound. Even it doesn't even improve in all this stuff because the vocals don't even sound clearer, and this EP is just absolutely horrendous. So I was impressed with this. The original Saturday Records one, I'll find it obviously, but it did well in America, but it didn't do well in the UK. That's the only thing it didn't do. This did a lot of good sales in the USA, but in the UK it just went nowhere. Overseas, it pretty much did okay, but for the US market, it did exceptionally well. They were based in. This is interesting. This label was based. The division of it was based in Boston, Massachusetts, and I don't know whereabouts that Atlantic was doing business out of there, but it must have done pretty well. But yeah. Well, this one is not really well worth listening to, but the compression on this is absolutely dreadful. Listen to it on the Saturday record version. It's absolutely perfect because Levine did a great mastering job on that one. So it was superb. So I should have retitled this video as my record collection. Actually, which is even better for it. I'll retitle it in a minute. Actually, can I actually retitle it on here? I can't. Can I retitle it on here instead? I probably can't do it on there. Doesn't matter. It's fine. Away from it. Anyway, that's fine. You can meet back from this as well. It's pretty good. All right. Okay. Right. So moving on from that one to to this one, to Arlo Speedwagon and High Infidelity. Absolutely tremendous album. Now, if you've probably seen years ago, I went through all the synopsis of this one. I still say that RO Speedwagon need to bring out an album because they have not brought an album out in many years and they need to bring one out. So if Frontiers Records is watching, get these signed again. And I don't care who your guitarist is, but Kevin Cronin, they need to bring out more of these because this album was brilliant. It was just bombed. It went through everything with what they did on this. Sold millions. It sold millions. This was at a height where basically Aerosmith program was on a great high, and basically this album was just fantastic. All the songs in here are just brilliant. Keep on Loving You, obviously popular song, everybody loves that in karaoke. In Your Letter, Take It on the Run, Tough Guys, Out of Season, Shaking the Loose. Just a superb album of writing and creativity and producing it. It's just so fantastic. Even the opening track, Don't Let Them Go, is just so brilliant. Really good. It's brilliant guitarist and fantastic. Right. So next, we're coming on to. By the way, if anybody's interested, I want to discuss about one album later with Bruce Springsteen. So if you're interested in Bruce Springsteen, then I will come to that in a minute. Queen stuff now, as you haven't seen for a while. This is the 12-inch single of Hammer Fall. This is the Penthouse edition. Townhouse, Penthouse, same thing. Kevin Metcalf mastered this fantastic 12-inch single. It's a Headbangers mix. You can definitely tell that Headbangers mix was very popular at the time it was done, and the sleeve, obviously, this is the second sleeve issue. The first sleeve issue that you may have wondered, first sleeve issue is very rare to get now. It's very high collectible. It's the one that people would love to have, but it's very expensive. So yeah, so that's cool. So Queen 12, Queen 4. So this was printed in the Penthouse version. Sound quality is tremendous, absolutely tremendous. So yeah, it's cool. I'll do some more records out in a few minutes when we get a chance. Right. Now I don't normally talk about this guy, but I am going to. Now, Bruce Springsteen, as you know, Bruce Springsteen is just about to release his next upcoming album, and you know, Bruce Springsteen is one of them artists who is just tremendous. His early career from '73 when he brought out the Raspberry New Jersey album. That first album brought out with Brown by the Light was just really amazing, really good album. And he basically, you know, his whole career has been just amazing. The live shows are absolutely fantastic, especially the live show he did. The thing was good. I have to say, I'm not really a big fan of his later stuff. His early stuff, but I think his early stuff's more heavy and really amazing. And I know everybody talks about Born to Run as his best '70s album ever made, and it is. And it's just him on a good high at that time. But what one album out of every single album that of Bruce Springsteen's, I'm not talking about like the other stuff. I'm talking about one album, and you probably know what it's going to be. And it was if I can remember rightly, I think that Columbia Records in the United States, Columbia Records renewed his contract because he at the time was writing a lot of songs at the time, and Bruce Springsteen is an amazing guy. I think the album is the longest album he's ever made. It's just one of the good albums he ever made, and had 5 hit singles, which were crazy. So it's obviously Born in the USA. Now, I'm going to probably run down all the songs, which people have never done this before. People never ever talked about this album in full. So it was recorded in the Hit Factory in America. Originally, it was going to be recorded at the in another studio they were going to use, but obviously I think it was booked up. But they used Hit Factory as the standing ground for it, and all of the production on that album is live. It sounds really live. It's not like being overdubbed. It's not being sort of thingy thing, because you can tell that Bruce is doing live stuff at the time as it is, and it's an amazing album, isn't it? And in my opinion, you know, the album is really cool. You know, I mean, I'll talk about the opening song. Obviously, it's been a while since basically the album's never ever been reissued with bonus tracks. It's never ever done, and I wish it would bring out the expanded version, and I wish there was, because no one has Sony and Bruce won't release the additional tracks, and I wish they would, because they are the additional tracks I'll get to later in this book. Anyway, so it was basically a long album. Originally, it was 25 tracks. 25 tracks were going to be on this album, but Columbia Records were very they were wary about that, and they said, well, that's too many songs, so we have to cut it down to 12 songs. And he recorded some of the outtakes that are on B-sides and everything else. So let's run down some of the songs that are on. I've got the thing actually on the screen. So starting off with "Born in the USA," I absolutely have to say that this song, right, is not one of Bruce's best songs ever written. Okay, it's not. I wish that it was called some other song. Because I mean, I do agree that it's about his childhood and it's he's bringing up when he was thinking and say that he was an American, trying to have the his right to say his own plea of what he is. It's not one of the best songs that I think is good. It's just that I never ever liked it. No one ever likes it because it's just like a cheesy kind of lyric that you'd say that you are happy to be in America, but you are singing about your main town of the USA because you know you're there, and you know, like it's. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's an opening track, but no one ever sings it live. No one ever does the song at karaoke ever. They never do it because it's boring. And it goes on for ages, and it was actually the last track it was recorded because this was made to go on the outro of the album, and there's a lot of faults in the song, especially when you get the end and before it fades out. There's a little a note that you notice on there, which has been probably the fact that they were having too much fun. They were kind of crazy. I've never liked the song. I've never liked it. It's just. I heard it on Crossover Radio a few weeks ago, and I said, oh, "Why did I play this for? Why? It's ruined his career. It really, because Columbia was thinking it was a great opening song, but is it going to be going to attract them?" It's like, well, the video did, but it really didn't do much. But people don't like it. It's not a good song. It really is not one of Bruce's best songs ever written. That's anyway, moving on to that song. Next song, "Cover Me," really good with a guy who was his pseudonym name was Bamba, not the people, but apparently it's there was a guy who was doing the backing vocals on the song. "Cover Me" is just so down to earth, really amazing song. He really. It was actually about, if I can remember rightly, I think it was about, it was going through because I mean, the opening line's like, "The times are tough now, the times are getting tougher. Someone is roughest, and no one's any other." And then it's like, it's just really, it's a really dark song, but it's one of his, he's a damn fucking good writer. He's absolutely amazing songwriter. So that was number 2. Darlington County, obviously that's when he was growing up at the time, when he was doing the when he was talking about his early days. It's got a lot of it's got a lot of very discreet kind of vocals, which can give an audience a good feel of it and a sing along kind of drinking song. That's what I hear it. But it sounds like how it's been done, how that song's been recorded. It's kind of like I think Bruce was on a bit of a. You can actually hear it in the song. You can hear it when he does it in his opening. He opens he's a and I'm thinking, is he drunk on that track? I think he is. I think he was getting a little bit too carried away. But yeah, Darlington County is really, it's a good song. It's just got a lot of that good old Southern rock kind of original Southern rock feel to it. It's really cool. Then you've got "Working on the Highway," which has been in respective, never ever been performed live at all. It's never have, because it was a rock and roll song, and it was a new direction from to try again the rock and roll field of it. So it's got a lot of the the rock and roll, the country side of it, and it's really remember my days at McDonald's. Well, that song, I just remember a lot of my days with my dad. It was really, really, really cool. So yeah, it was a good song, that one, because it's got a lot of rock and roll jives to that one as well. And then you've got Downbound Train, which is a very good song indeed. And then you've got I'm on Fire, which is one of the shortest songs on the album, which was not intended for. It was not intended to be on this album. It was just as a demo. As you can tell, it wasn't even finished. There's a lot of him whistling at the end of the song. And it doesn't have a lot on the song, really. It doesn't have a lot. There's no solo on it. There's no solo. It's just a basic rhythm track. It's just a basic keyboard line, and it's not really. It shouldn't really be intended to be on this one. They should have switched that song with another song that will come to you later, because there's a lot of songs that were outtakes on this album as well. And yeah, I don't know if I was that's the only one that I'm a bit miffed about that one, because it was played recently on the radio. I was like, why? So track 7, No Surrender. Again, Bruce is on. This actually reminds me now. Because there was a film originally called No Retreat, No Surrender. That was an original film. It was, and I was thinking, I heard that, and I went, "Is that kind of like a kind of song where it's kind of like in that Mr. Wurtz like soundtrack kind of song?" And it isn't. It's about fighting and trying to be like the guys in the ring and everything else. Way before the days when Guns N' Roses were getting the ring, obviously. So yeah, but it's a good song. I like that one. Bobby Jean's very very Phil Spector again. Phil Spector ideas for it. The only thing I don't like about the song is the keyboard lines. I hate them. I wish the keyboard lines would have been rewritten a bit better, because I like the piano parts, but it's just the there's a certain chord in the song which really, really, really doesn't work. And if that had been rewritten and changed better, it would work out fine for it. Okay, so I'm going down. This one was it was very, again, very sort of like another like cover me kind of song for it. It's I think it's got that good feel to it. It's got that sort of like a good sort of like New Jersey kind of singing to it, and as it's progressed and he's sang for it, and I like that. I like the way he does that. So number 10, this was also a single, was Glory Days. Now, if I remember rightly, the whole idea for this was live. Glory Days is actually about the football pitches. It's about the baseball season that came up at the time, and I think, if I'm right, I think the idea came from when he went to one of the original. I think he went to one of the original games that were playing in America, and then he came back and he said, "I heard." You must have heard something in the crowd or something on the ball game. And I think that's where they got the idea for this one, to write it as a fanfare kind of song to go into the crowd and sing these things. Originally called Gloria Days. That's why it was called Gloria Days, but it wasn't called that. It was called Glory Days because it was really it's very live. But none of the songs on here have Clarence Clemens on it. His appearance is not on this. I don't know why. I'd sing them. And then one of the best ballads he ever wrote was My Hometown. That is really his most bloody amazing work on that, actually, which is really superb. Really superb. And really done very, very good as well from it, which is cool. So, but oh yeah, Clarence Clemens is actually on No Surrender. and he's on another song as well, which he's on some of them anyway. But yeah, but that's the 12 songs that made the album. Now the outtakes that did not make the album. When this is where the confusion started. Came with Columbia Records were thinking, well, them songs are going to work for the album, but the other songs that don't work, you shouldn't put them on because they're not going to. They'll sell more, and we'll lose money from this. I'm very glad that they didn't actually put any of the bonus tracks on here. So the first one was Pink Cadillac for this session, and it would have worked well. I think if they had changed I'm on Fire, then they would have put Pink Cadillac in that song, and that would have worked out great for this one. But that part had to be a B-side because he was writing like crazy. It was just so many songs coming out at the time. And then Columbia, their wisdom, said, you can't put this on the album. And it was like, what? I was like, there's too many songs on the album. We can't fit all your songs on this album. It's like 6. You've got 6 on one side and you've got 6 on the other side. And they said you'll have to either cut it down or you'll have to change the songs in, see what you can do with it. And Pink Cadillac basically it's basically a just a session. That was it was. But it was well worth it for what it is. If Bobby Jean had not been written that time, then obviously you would have replaced it with one of the songs. So when it comes to the final tracks, they went with Pink Cadillac and listened to it and they go, that's great. I said, but there's not much to that song. It's just like a rhythm track. So that would have made it on there, but it never did. And then a year later, Bruce was contacted by, well, I think somebody got the song, but the next song he did was called Stand On It, which was a rock and roll again. It would have worked well for this album. They couldn't put it on because it was, again, time constraints, which is so awkward. CDs was coming into place, but unfortunately it wasn't on. So that was a B-side as well. Then there was Santa Claus Is Coming to Town live version, first time it was ever live as well. It would have been as a bonus track for the Christmas, but unfortunately Columbia didn't release it, not until later on. And if Born USA had been a better album and been better tracks in it and had been reassembled well, it would have been thingies. Now, at the time, obviously in the early years, CDs just became popular, but no bonus tracks were issued at all. Whereas maybe 4 bonus tracks were put on there, so there's an extra equal quality of what you could get on the CD. So a bit later on in the year, when he brought out his 2 albums that were back-to-back albums, which were done on the same day, they were recorded at the same time and the same day, was Lucky Town and the other one, Human Touch album as well. And they were simultaneously released on the same day because it was a double album, but it was going to cost more money for it. That's why I did it separately as a triple album. So later on, Bruce is basically still at Columbia Records. He goes into Columbia Records one day, and bear in mind, this is where before he got his rights to his songs, because he did a deal in 1975. He was given all his royalties and all his publishing. Columbia Records were giving him all his rights to his songs, his publishing, productions, and the whole lot. And he did a deal in America where he was given all his rights to his music. Later on, when Legacy started, and I don't think this has got anything to do with Legacy, but when Columbia was established back in the UK, and this has all happened in America, I think Bruce went back into Columbia Records to talk to them about saying that I'm happy with the way my rights are kept on my music, but now I want to secure it with Columbia Records because I want to maintain all my songs with you guys. Um, and and it was very expensive. It wasn't one of these things where he'd say, "Oh no, your rights are there." It's like that. But apparently, Bruce, being as he is, he put down a huge payment down. He wanted to pay his his works, not his multi tracks, just his works, to his publishing and his writing and his producing to Columbia, and he's been on Columbia ever since. He's never left, and so so after he took the initiative chance to get all of his songs registered with Columbia Records and the Right Society, he then just paid a massive payment to Columbia and said, "I want to stay on the label. I'm not going to leave, and I want all my rights maintained with you guys because I think I'm entitled to keep them on there." So, and then he had to go and register them with another distribution company, and then at the good kind heartedness of it, Columbia was going to re-release Born in the USA. They were going to basically re-release they weren't going to remaster his catalogue. They were going to re-release the catalogue. At the time, there was nobody remastering the albums, and I don't think Bruce was happy with that because he didn't want it to be touched. He wanted the mastering was perfect as what it was. So none of his albums got remastered. None of his albums got repackaged. They basically just went back in and just reproduced the album on CD for the first time, which was all original. So, because Columbia Records at the time, Bruce Dickinson, who works in America, he was the head A&R guy over there, and he was in charge of reissuing, producing, and reissuing and mastering it. Yeah, he had nothing to do with Springsteen's albums because he didn't want to have a chance to do that. So then, after the whole scenario with that business going on, later on in 1996, after he introduced Philadelphia and the other songs he was doing at the time, he didn't get anywhere else with it, and he did, and he just wanted to go back into them and say, "I want to maintain all my rights now." And out of the generosity of what they did, they gave him a free website. They said, "We'll give you a website as well, but that'll be controlled under us." So basically, Columbia Records are now. I hope they do reissue the album, and I hope they bring it out because they need to reproduce this album again with bonus tracks, the tracks that have never ever been issued ever, because they've never released it. Born to Run's a really good album. Born to Run is a good album, but Born in the USA is his milestone. That's his crowning glory album. It's just really, really full on, amazing music on it. But it was costly. It was not very cheap to make that album. It was very expensive. I think it was one of the most expensive albums that was done with him maintaining his rights to his songs and everything else. And he, to this day, he's still an amazing artist. I think he's still. I don't like his other stuff because it doesn't gel. But when you listen to Born to Run It, Born in the USA, it kind of remits you back to that as well. But as I said, I've never liked the title track. It's just so people can just go, "Oh, no, Born to Run USA, no way, no, don't sing that." And then they're all going to say, we're not going to sing it. It's like, yeah, but listen, it's on the radio right now. So, and yeah, that's when it was basically just as it is. So, but yeah, he's had a very, very long career, and he's still. They need to bring out a reissue of the album again with the bonus tracks in it because it's been a long, long time and it's never been sort of thingy that, so but yeah. So yeah, it's been through a lot. Oh, he's been through a lot. He's been through a lot, and but as I said, but nobody's took advantage of remastering the album. They would never ever do that. They would re-release it, but they would not obviously reproduce it. They wouldn't do it. But yeah, but Born in the USA, good album. Just like the title track. So yeah, but yeah, that album, it's really, really good. So it's cool. But yes, oh, it's actually remastered by Bob Ludwig. Well, it doesn't say there, does it? Doesn't say. Well, Bob Ludwig and remastered the album, but doesn't need remastering. It's for City fans. I think that's as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, but he's had a very good career. If you like Bruce Springsteen, if you like his music, you like his writing, Born in the USA is a good album indeed. What it is. Well, after that, I just didn't. After that, I kind of just lost interest with that as well. I mean, his last album he made in when he hasn't made an album since Magic came out in 2007. So he's never made another album after that. So he's very, 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 very lucky that he never. Oh, he made Wrecking Ball as well, and that was it, I think. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's all you ever made. So it was only live stuff came out. But apart from that, that's his career has been popular, very popular indeed. So yeah, it's been a very popular time for him as well when he can do it. So it's good. And if you had the chance to even get back out and tour again, it would be a very good thing for him to do. And it's that, so, but yeah. May he reign as a good songwriter, as he always is. Actually, he's looking about his career. He actually made another album called Letter to You, but I think it's a Christmas album he made. That's a Christmas album. Yeah. So that's been what it is. And again, does a good job. He's a good songwriter. Anyway, back to my record collection now, since we have got some time. I'm going to be here for another half an hour, kind of territory for it. Right, so we saw. There's me other ones. Find it out. Half family one. Oh, that's right. Right, now on to if you have watched my videos recently, you may wonder, this next artist, Peter Stryker, yes. He has been really busy, this guy. Been back out, getting his albums out and reproducing the albums and being brilliant as he is. So I'm not going to talk about this album, but I'm going to talk about his box set that came out. So if you kind of have been watching a video I didn't discuss about Peter Stryker's box set, well, I have to say something, right? I've got all three albums of his now. I've got all three albums. Just from being his probably not his bad album, this one. But obviously now it's been reproduced in a box set, which was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. Right. Peter didn't have any involvement with Cherry Records at all. He basically went into the offices and they had a meeting with him to discuss about none of his material was ever released, and this one's on me, Changeling, and obviously what I just showed you, which was Real Natural Man. And at the time, Cherry Red were trying their hardest to try and get it out. We're trying to get the releases out, obviously, for the time. People weren't able to get them. When I loaded the videos onto YouTube, it was taken an interest, apparently, that Cherry Red was interested to re-release them. The only album they have never ever released yet is Private Parts, which I will never see a light of day anyway, because that'll never be released at all. But they basically, his first album was absolutely amazing. Howard Blakely and Alan Hawkshaw, really, Howard and Blakely, so to say, Really brilliant writers and great producers. Fabulous album. But obviously, the ones that have come out on the box set have been this one's on me, and The Changeling, and Real Natural Man. And I have to say, I got a copy from one of my friends on YouTube, Planet Mixer, I think his name is. He gave me the album. He gave me the remasters, the whole remaster of the album. Just ripped the CDs and gave me the things. Very disappointing. Very disappointing. No, it looks like no one's basically done a good job of that. Whoever's done the mastering on the box set, you please put it in the bin and just get rid of it. It's just absolutely dreadful. All the songs, all of the mastering is 100% terrible. It's not worth having it. So I got it. I got a copy of I had my originals. I had my original of Real Natural Man, and my original Changing, and my original of This One's on Me. So I first of all listened to This One's on Me, and straight away, yeah, you know what they've done on that, haven't you? Yeah. Well, so this is the thing. I think I know what they've done. So the whole scenario, well, what I can understand is, and let's just think about this carefully, they took a cassette, and I'm not talking about like the big master things. They took some source, wherever the source has been come from. I can't say it's vinyl, or maybe it is vinyl. I don't know. The source is a bit weird because it's either is it audio tapes, or is it done by vinyl? I don't know, but it sounds like it's kind of has been up by vinyl straight away. I can tell it is. So the first one, This One's on Me album, the reissue of it is absolutely not up par with what I did. Now, listen to the original version of it, which you can never ever find on YouTube anymore now, because Warner Brothers owns it apparently. I don't know why. It's never been owned by Warner Brothers. It was ever released in the USA actually. The problem is the mastering on that first one is completely utterly crap. None of it sounds great. There is some weird effect that they've used on the whole mastering. It sounds like it's like a washing machine. So I can't say that the mastering is perfect. It's not. The compression's too much, which I think that's what they've used, and to enhance Peter's voice better. we just not work at all. So the first one's not very good. It's not very good. It's the sound quality is dreadful. The album's brilliant, but the sound quality is not a part of what I did. No. So passing that one, and then the next one was the Changeling one, which is one of his better albums he ever made. It was absolutely amazing. So again, there's a problem with that disc. Track 2, it doesn't give a damn. Where the hell they've got that from? God knows where. Someone used a very high quality needle on that one. There's a lot of hisses on that. So I ain't impressed with that either. Sound quality terrible. I don't know what happened during the quality of Doesn't Give a Damn, because it doesn't even sound like it was originally done like that. So that's a bit of a disappointment. And neither does any of the songs that the songs are fantastic. It's just the fact that the mastering it's absolutely dreadful. Talk About Me sounds bloody awful. Sounds like it's in a whirlwind of its mind for some pretty bizarre reason. So that's a bit of a shame. And then the album that came out, obviously, which is down there, which is Real Natural Man, which was last album he made before the Zunu stuff came out, which is Zunu. It doesn't blame me to say this, but so when that was done, the album originally has a cutoff where it says "Turn Me Over." Just for the purpose of what they've done on this one, they have basically they've messed it up. They've really messed it up badly. I don't think that mastering on that is really good. It's absolutely dreadful. It's actually been taken from the original vinyl rip. I know it has, because there's a fade out on that which they put on. God knows why. Why couldn't you just leave the end on? Would have been simple, just because they would like to loop the thing, obviously. But no, we can't. But to fade it out and then cross-fade it with this other track, which was They Got You Dancing. If you listen to They Got You Dancing, that bit where it stops it in the very middle of it, you can tell what they've used on that compression and everything else. High compression on it, and it's just it just doesn't work. So Peter was very, very well. I don't even think Peter actually ever heard the masters that came out. Bonus tracks are good, but they're not really up par. But his box set his box set really isn't good. It's not. I wouldn't say that his Cherry Red Records did a good job of it. I think they just did a complete balls up of that, actually. Cherry Red, you should go back into that album and redo it better, for God's sake. Take off the compression and sort it out, because he didn't do a good job of it, to be honest with you. But the only thing that doesn't get me is they haven't got it assumes that they licensed it under a different licensing company, when EMI or Universal owns the rights to that album. Actually, Sony Music owns the rights to Private Parts, but for some bizarre reason, I've checked on YouTube, there's no copyright issues at all with that. I don't know whether this album's just been sitting there without any copyright issues at all. Not got blocked at all, as I'm able to see. Or maybe Sony doesn't know about it. Maybe they just forgot about it in the archives and just went, "No, that's in the archives. We'll not bother with that album." But it's like, well, you couldn't really go back in and re-release it. But I think his reason is because he's not very known very well for what he does. Does a great role in Queen tribute bands and everything. Queen, brilliant things he's done. But yeah, it's just disappointing that the Cherry Red messed it up. Whoever did that mastering, sort in the bin. And yeah, it's just a shame. But yeah, but Private Parts has never been released, and I would like to see that re-released. Just to bring up the original album is just perfect. It's just perfect. It's really good. It's really good. It's one of those ones where you really would just enjoy. You'd enjoy the great things that they would do. So and it's good that way, and you get a good feeling about when you hear some stuff. You go, God, I wish that was out on CD. And it's just like, I would agree with that, actually. That would have worked out really well. But then you get the other ones and they all go, well, it's not even that, is it? So it's you can pick and choose exactly what you want from that side anyway, which is one thing. So I am gonna say farewell now, and hope you guys are gonna have a good week. I'm having a good week next week. Next week is busy. We've got a lot of things coming up. We've got a lot of projects coming up. We've got a lot of things coming up next week, actually. Which is going to be very, 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 very exciting. We've got more music coming up this year. We've got our new signing already sorted out next week, which we're hoping to work with very soon. And going to be writing music again, guys. And loving what I do. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, so that's my little chat tonight, guys. Hope you didn't have many people on tonight, but if you rewatch this back and wondering where I've been, I am here. And go, oh, it's back. But yeah, guys, have a good night. Be careful out there in America. If you're in America, please be careful of the storm out there. But I'll be back next week with another one for you guys, tales and more. So see you there, guys. Bye.